Hi, and welcome back to Dwayne's Guitar Lessons, episode Frankenstein. We're working on a guitar I just built. I call it Frankenstein because it was built from a bunch of scrap parts off eBay from different parts of the world, different guitars, all that stuff. And what I'm going to do with it today is going to need to do some minor surgery on it, unfortunately. These chrome these are called pickup rings. These are what hold the pickups in. And I like them. People have told me that they like them in chrome, so I decided I was going to keep them on there. But while playing the guitar, I noticed I kept hitting these screws. This is sticking up kind of high. I'm not really used to that. My other one's different. So I was thinking about getting some chrome ones, and then a friend of mine, he said he had some and gave them to me, so we're going to switch those out. So I wanted to make a little educational video of how to do that. And unfortunately, you have to get the strings off there in order to get to them. And we have a couple options of doing that. We can either cut the strings, or take them off and then restring it, or we can take out the bridge. Okay, I would not recommend doing this with your guitar unless you know what you're doing. Now I'm going to take the option of taking out the bridge so I can try to save the strings, plus to show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to pop the bridge out and then change out the pickup rings with these ones. These are chrome, and these ones are plastic. They look really nice, but they're plastic. These ones I'm going to put in here are going to be metal, and they're going to be real thin, and so that's going to be a lot better for the playing of it. See, this one's pretty thick. This one's real thin. This one I'm taking out. See, let me show you what the side view. See that back one right there? So you might be able to see a better view from the side. That back one's kind of sticking out by the tremolo, this one right here. And so what I'm going to do is put this other one in there that's going to be more flat. And so I just wanted to show you how you could do that if you decide you want to do something like that to your guitar. This is a good way of doing it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to unlock the nut, loosen the strings, take some tension off the tremolo. Okay? So that we can take some tension off the springs, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these springs out, but I don't want to take them out when they're under tension. So, because they could just go flying. You don't want that. So what I'm going to do is loosen the strings. Is going to cause this tremolo block to come back and release the tension off the springs. And of course, retuning it's going to be a nightmare. Of course, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like these kind of guitars, and it's not a good idea to mess with the bridge if you don't know what you're doing, because retuning these takes a while. So a lot of those standard bridges that are just set, I think like a set bridge, those ones are really nice because you could take them apart, put them back on, and you're not affecting the tuning like this is. I should have got my string winder before I started this video. I thought I had everything. You ever do that? You start a project and you think you got all your tools. You say, alright, I got everything I need. And then all of a sudden you get into it and you find out, darn, I need to go back and get this, get that. Okay, so what I'm doing is loosening the strings. So we can loosen the tension and pop this out. Okay, so now that's kind of sunken into there now. So what we're going to do is flip it over like this. Be careful with the neck. I've got the neck suspended up here with some cloth and stuff. And I'm going to pop out these springs. See, now I can pop the springs out and not have any tension. Now, you got to be careful when you do that. You got to hold the block here, okay, because that'll fall through the cavity. You don't want to damage the finish or something. So just be careful that when you pop out those springs, that last one, see, I'm holding this from underneath. So it's loose now. Now I flip the guitar over, and see, it just popped right out. Look at that, it fell out. So now we have the bridge with the strings. I'm going to put that over here so it's out of the way. Now, if I'm careful, I can save the strings. And so we just learned right now, simple way of popping the bridge out of the cavity there. Okay, I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you want to spend some time tuning it. I've done it I've already done it about 10 times with this guitar, so I'm pretty used to doing it. But I wouldn't recommend doing it if you're not, because tuning it is going to be the thing there. But that's okay. I'd rather do that than have to keep cutting the strings every single time. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take out these chrome rings. And these chrome rings are going to look like they need probably like this medium screwdriver here. Now these are not only what hold the pickup, but they also allow you to adjust the pickup's height. So if you like the pickup close to the strings, you can put it closer to the strings, or if you want it farther away. And what happens from that is when the pickups are closer to the strings, you get a little bit more of a punchier sound because it picks up the vibration. And then of course when you have it further away, you get a little bit of a softer sound. So kind of depending on the sound that you're looking for and the way you like to play, everybody plays a little bit different. Okay, so I took out these 4 screws, and as you can see, I can pop the pickup out. Okay. Now the main thing I got to make sure, I'm really hoping for, looks like these might be, yeah, these are a little bit bigger. They are a little bit bigger. Both holes look pretty close. So whenever, like I said before, whenever you're modifying your guitar, you've got to make sure the stuff you're putting in is going to fit. These are a little bit bigger, but I'm going to give them a try. I might just have to keep these in here. It's very possible. If we could just get them to where the bolt holes line up and everything, will be fine. So now what I need to do is separate the pickup ring from the pickup. And that's done right here with these 2 screws at the end of the pickup itself. It's got a screw on each side with the spring, and that helps it to adjust, you know, up or down. Like right now, it's almost out, so I did some modifications on my other guitar, and okay, so here's the 2 springs, little 2 springs here, and the way it works is they get compressed, and that holds the tension of when you have the distance of the pickup. So now we see there's the pickup, right? You see that there? And now what we want to do is add on a new pickup ring. I'm just hoping that the bolt holes line up. That's the main thing, because it looks like this is a bit bigger. Let's see. I might have to just leave it the way it is. I mean, I hope not. Let's see. Alright, so now is the tricky part. I'm getting this screw here. And go through that hole there. Okay, that looks like that works. Okay, so the tricky part is getting it through this, hooked up to the pickup itself, and of course you want to make sure you don't damage the finish. Let's see. Okay, I got that through there. And these are kind of interesting. These are metal screws in the fact that they have a flat end, so you have to line up this, and there's threads in the in there, so you have to line them up just right for it to go into the hole. Not like a wood screw that has like a point on it, and it'll just grab whatever it hits. This has to hit a certain spot. Okay, so once again we got this screw, and you got the screw, and you have the spring that goes over it. And you got to put the screw into the pickup ring, and then put on the spring, and then attach that to the pickup itself. This might be a little bit big. I hope not. Let's see. Okay, good. We got that. I might have to make some new holes for these though. If this works, this would be great. I wanted to switch this out because my hand kept hitting that other one. It was kind of sticking up kind of high. So whenever you're switching out pickup rings, there's a couple of things you want to make sure of, if at all possible. You got to make sure that it fits into the pickup, because if that doesn't fit, then you won't be able to adjust the pickup up and down like I mentioned before. So you got the screw here, and you got the spring in between. and that's what holds that tension of being able to bring that up and down and hold it at a certain height, is the spring. Because without the spring, you wouldn't be able, it would be functionless. So it's that spring that really makes the difference on that. So right now the pickup is about level with the ring. So that's why I said you got to make sure that the ring and the pickup go together as far as in their size, so you can do that. Alright, so I've got that. Put that back in there. Looks like the holes aren't too bad off. They're a little bit off though. So I'm probably going to have to make a little bit bigger or something. Let me see. Let me get those put in there. That would be awesome. Of course, without damaging the finish. That's the main thing, right? And I could have actually waited, you know, because I knew I wanted to have metal ones. I didn't know if they were going to be black or if they were going to be chrome, but I wanted to be metal. And I happened to get those other ones, and those are nice. I like them. They're just plastic, you know, and I just didn't want to put plastic. And the only other ones I had was that were metal was the black ones. And everybody was telling me, no, just leave the chrome. They like the chrome on there better. So I thought, okay. I decided to leave the chrome on there. Alright, I'm going to have to drill a new hole for this one, it looks like. Try to get that straight. This hole looks like it kind of lines up a little bit, so do something with that. So this is going to be lower, and I shouldn't be hitting the screws. That's kind of the idea here. Because I like this one, but this one sticks up. How high it sticks up down the side, like at an angle right there. I kept hitting it, so. Plus it's plastic, and I wanted metal, so I got pretty fortunate with this. And it's one of the reasons why I don't put the back on, because it makes it easier to get to the springs back there. You know, once you have to pop that bridge out. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I've done it about literally working on this guitar, building it and everything. I've probably done it 10 times. But so I'm pretty good at doing it. I had a friend of mine, one of my students, he needed his guitar fixed. I was able to pop out the bridge of his real quick and get that fixed up for him. So, might be a new skill that I've developed. I like to have different screwdrivers, like I mentioned, because all these screws are different sizes, you know. They're all Phillips screws, but they're just different size Phillips screws. So on these two here, I had to make new holes. So it was a little bit bigger than the other one. But on this side, the two holes lined up fairly okay. So I just started with the best one. And then the same thing here, we just undo these ones. There's 4 of them, 4 screws, one at each corner. And we've got the 2 to hold up the pickup ring, to hold the pickup itself. Okay. This is kind of like doing minor surgery on your guitar. So Frankenstein's getting some surgery. Oh, I hope that's not coming up. There we go. Alright, so once again the pickup's out. It's still wired in. You can see it's wired right there. And it's got these 2 screws that are holding it. So take these 2 screws out. And like I said, be careful not to damage your finish. Or put like a towel or something over it. I don't know. I get into what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't worry about all that safety precaution stuff, which I probably should, but I'm more concerned with just getting it, you know, done. And but yeah, you really should try to, you know, put something over that to protect the finish. Okay, so once again, that's pulled out. So there's our pickup by itself. Let's put that back in the cavity for right now. We've got our 2 springs and our 2 screws. So grab the other pickup ring here, the metal one. And the middle pickup is just screwed in there on each side. So you don't need a pickup ring for that one. It's just the way it's designed. So I've got that one screwed in there with 2 screws. So that's holding that. You know, like I said, the pickup rings are what hold the humbucker pickups. Okay. So now we got that. And once again, we put the screw through the ring. Put the spring underneath it, and then you take that and you attach that to the pickup, that hole on the side, and you want it to be lined up, like try to line it up as straight as possible, so that'll go in there. It's kind of tricky sometimes. You really have to have it lined up like straight. Yep, cool. And you'll know it when it takes, because you'll just kind of be able to feel that it gets in the threads there. Okay, so then we got the other side. Screw through the ring. Put the spring. I usually try to keep the pickup in the pocket if possible. You know, it's the pickup cavity, just so I'm not damaging the finish. I'm staying right there, if at all possible anyway. Okay, so, and when you put that screw in, you can kind of feel when it hits the slot. And you just try to keep it straight. Oh, see, it came out. That's why I was saying, you know, I'd recommend don't doing this unless you have a lot of patience. Because this stuff can really be frustrating. It's kind of small and tedious work. It's not real difficult. You know, you got to take out some screws. I mean, that's not difficult technically, but it's the, you know, the way it's all put together and stuff. And I want to make sure you've got some patience if you're doing stuff like this. All right, so then we put the pickup back in there. All right, cool. So now we've got some metal pickup rings, and this has been pretty good. So, and when you build something like this, like building a car or something, you got to take it for like a test drive and check it out, make sure it's all working properly and stuff. And so that's going to take a little bit, and then I'll make another video to show you the progress of that. Okay, and once again, I'm going to just kind of line it up with these holes for right now. These ones aren't quite lined up like the other ones, but we'll start with that one there. And then you take the 4 screws that you took out, put those back in the corners there. And let's see, we'll get that. Okay, let me see something here. I'm going to have to get out my drill and just drill some small pilot holes in here. That really helps when you're time to drill new holes. So, see, this is the kind of thing that happens when you try to modify your guitar. You know, you got new holes that have to be drilled. You got this, you got that. It's like, man, you got to be kind of concerned about that. I think I'll be alright. Let me give this a shot here. Use this hole here to start with. I didn't need to drill any other ones yet. Now, so far playing this guitar, it's done very well. It's got a nice bright sound. I've got some compliments off it. Telling me that it's got a nice tone to it, and it actually feels really good to play. Okay, let's see here. Alright. go. And what's actually good about this too is this is, I believe it's called basswood, which what these guitars are made out of. It's a really light wood. So when you're having to like put in screws and stuff, if you're having to try to make some custom holes or something, it's actually kind of good because it doesn't take too much force to get the screw to go in there and get started. And these are wood screws, so like I mentioned before, they have a point on them. And so they just grab, you know. There you go. Now, like I said, this stuff's real tedious work, so don't do it if you don't have a lot of patience, if you get frustrated easy, you know. I remember when I was a teenager, the car had a starter. You know, with those old cars, the starters go out pretty frequently. And you think, oh, it's just 2 bolts, you know, how hard could it be? 3 hours later, you're still trying to put the starter in, you know, because it's just where it's located and it's tedious work. And this is kind of the same concept. This is just, you know, not difficult, it's just takes time consuming. But not too much here. Let's see. Alright, so we got all 4 of those in there. That looks good. Alright, so now that is how you change out your pickup rings. Just like that, okay? 4 screws on each one to hold it to the body, and the 2 screws to hold it to the pickup. Make sure you put the springs in there, because those springs are what allow you to adjust the pickup's height. Like right now, I see that pickup, it's going up and down. So I can adjust that to be however I want it to be. This one as well. That was another thing about that other pickup ring I didn't like, was it was just setting up really high, and this is going to be more flat, which is going to allow me to make the bridge more flat as well. Okay, so now we've got that switched out. Here's the old ones. Got the new ones in there. And now for the tricky part. This taking it out's not a problem, it's putting it back in. That's kind of tricky with these things. Make sure you don't damage the finish. Okay, so we got that in on this side. Good. Got lucky. Look at that. So it just popped right back in there. You know, sometimes it can be kind of tricky, but I think I loosened the strings enough to where it was able to just pop right in there. So now I've got it in there now. And then, like I said, it's just these 2 screws just hold it up here. So you can just pop it in and pop it out if you're careful. Okay, I would highly recommend be careful. You don't want to damage the paint job, but just be careful when you do that if you decide to do that. It can be done. You just have to be careful and have patience. If you don't have patience, don't even try it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm holding onto the bridge, okay? So it doesn't fall out as I flip the guitar over. Alright, so now you can see it a little bit better. There we go. That block right there, that's that bridge part that we got to hook the springs to. Okay, now it looks like this popped out. Alright, see, as I was adjusting the camera, this popped out because I took my hand off it. So now, got to redo it. Not a problem, we got the strings. Make sure the strings are straight. Hook it onto the, you probably can't really see that because my hand's right there, but okay, let's see. I've got it pretty loose, so let me get this bad one. There we go. Pop right in there again, okay? So once again, hold it. And what I do, now if you look at this, you can see how I'm moving it. So I'm going to move it to it's the closest to the claw. That's this metal piece up here that holds the springs that I mentioned before, okay? So I'm going to take that, I'm going to push it up. Now, I need to hold it there. So what I'm going to do is add a little shim or something, a little block right here to keep that in place so I can put the springs on it, okay? And hopefully the springs won't have to put them under tension and stuff. So right now, the thing that's holding it is that the strings on the top and this little block thing I put right here, okay? You want to always remember, try to protect the finish. I've got a shell underneath here. Let's see, so then we just put the, now I'm trying to see, that block, I need that to be a little bit more. There we go, so we got the one spring. Once you got the one spring, you know, the rest of it gets easier. And we didn't have to mess with the 2 screws. Now, if you want to, you can loosen these 2 screws as well. But I would mark them at least, but you can do that. I've done that as well. Loosen that if you want to. Just make sure that when you take these springs off, that they're not under tension. That's the main thing. It does 2 things. Number one, it makes it easier to exchange them. And number 2, it makes it easier to exchange them, okay? And it also makes sure that this block comes back where it's supposed to be, the tremolo bar right here. Okay, so here's our bridge, not the tremolo bar, but the tremolo bridge is what I mean to say. Okay. So now I've got those put back in place. Now we just need to tighten up the strings and get it in tune. Okay, and that's going to take a while, so I'm not going to include that in this video because these, you know, they do take a while. This is the reason why people don't like this stuff, and I can understand. These are kind of like you either love them or you hate them, these tremolo systems, because it's a system, like I said, with the regular bridge. It's just a one, you know, it's just bolted to the body. But this is a system with the springs, and you got to have the spring tension right and the string tension, and this adjusted properly and stuff. So yeah, I could see it's a system, but I don't mind it. I like it. I like the sounds that I can make with it. I really like the sounds you can make when you have the wearing bar and stuff like that. It's cool. And it's just a nice thing to know. So that's how you do that. Okay, so if you ever want to change out your pickup rings, or, you know, change out your pickups themselves, well, that would be good. You'd have to unsolder them from the back. So hopefully we won't have to do that with this guitar. But I think it's pretty much ready to go. So want to say thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. That's how you change out your pickup rings. Okay, and I'll show some more videos of Frankenstein later and see how he's doing. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Bye.